Alright, this will be take 2 because I messed up the other one completely. So it turns out for me to continue this YouTube channel I will have to make a couple of changes. I guess, I don't even know for sure. If you hear banging, that's my neighbors, I can't help it. It's fucking 10 at night and they're still building their house. Yeah, so I've been struggling a little bit with this whole idea of making, you know, sort of tutorial-based content, that kind of stuff. Because it's easy when you start a channel, or you have this desire to make videos, but you're finding, you need to go search for a format, I suppose. And it's easy to just sort of fall back on something like, okay, I want to make videos related to technology, so I will make explanation videos or tutorials or, God forbid, educational videos. And it really just isn't kind of working for me. I don't really like it. And now, for reasons that I will explain in a second, I will get a lot more time to work on this channel. I am sort of having to go find a format for it, I suppose. And given that I am not very good at this whole social thing, let's just say that that's by definition pretty doomed. Ooh, this soldering iron is not at all clean. Let's hope that it'll resolve itself. Or I can work around it somehow. Yep. Come watch how a man slowly kills himself with soldering fumes. That could be a format for the channel. Yeah, let's pick that conversation up later. Let's actually explain what I'm doing here. I read a long time ago this thread on Reddit, I believe, where, I don't know if it was on the Shitty Robots forum or something, but somebody proposed a device that would trigger itself after you had a shower to play So Fresh and So Clean by Outkast through your house. And I gave it a lot of thought, more than I probably should have at the time. Because obviously it presents some problems, like that device would trigger itself, for instance, if you go to the toilet. Not that my toilet is in the shower, by the way, but if you were to comb your hair or something, whatever. You know, because it obviously be some sort of like braking sensor based, right? So my initial idea was to use some sort of laser sensor or like infrared sensor with a beam that you would break. But to aim the beam and stuff, like, that just seems like a hassle, so I came up with a simpler solution that is for sure gonna present problems, but who cares? Anyway, yeah, so this device would be beam based, if that's a word, and then it would trigger every time you pass the door or something, because you come out of the shower, you pass the door, you break the beam, and it would send the signal to start playing the song. But you don't want it to trigger when you come out of the shower after combing your hair or whatever. So that's where this little sensor comes in. It is a temperature sensor that also does moisture. So what I did here is I took a little prototype board and I soldered 2 headers to it so that this can fit into this one. And this is my janky solution for the beam. It's just a distance sensor. So if this is set in the door like this, you would just pass the beam, the distance sensor, and it's basically the same thing. But these things are noisy as fuck, so they will present a problem. But I don't think in my setup that will be the case, because I will have a triggering mechanism through that, through the temperature sensor. So why do I need a temperature sensor? Because it also senses moisture. You can actually calibrate it for just the normal moisture in the room plus some extra for if it's, you know, a particularly moisture day. But when you turn on the shower, the steam will increase the moisture level severely, which will allow it to arm the device for triggering the song, and that should prevent it from being triggered in any other case than taking a shower. So I'm just building that device because I wanted to. I've been thinking about it for about 2 years now and I never built it. I hope these came out okay. So we need to establish ground on this. Luckily it's marked. You can't see that, but who cares? So it's there. Let's just put it in place like that. And then the ground line goes there. So this part is my ground line. And this is where I fucked up the last time. I soldered it to the wrong side. And I still can't quite believe that I did that. I was quite far into the video and into all of my rants and stuff. And now I have to come up with all new stuff because repeating yourself seems so derivative. So yeah, the reason I'm getting a lot more time for my YouTube channel is because, yeah, I guess I quit working. I guess that's one way to describe it, and that would be a very fair way to describe it. I think we mutually came to the agreement for me to stop working. And it was very mutual. I actually do think that that is for the best. Let me just not get distracted for a second. Ground is on this side, 100% for sure. This side. So yeah, my issue with working in technology is that things have changed a lot in the past 22 years, you know, and I've always been able to keep up with that change, but it seems like no longer this is possible, and that's fine. So it's not just that I will stop working for my current company, it's that I will quit working in technology companies altogether. I know that a lot of people who have emailed me are like in the process of starting their careers in technology, and I think there's a lot of value to be had there as a career path. It's just that it seems to have become less about the technology and more about the company and all of the processes around that. And it's created a lot of conflict, stuff that people have been trying to fix for quite a while, which is why we have such beautiful concepts as scrums and agile development, and all of that has slowly been created over the years to solve the issue of technology versus business. And it's really difficult to get these two aligned. And I can't do it, most notably because I just don't have the patience for it. I wish I had, but I don't. I've seen people who have the patience for it and they're very successful in what they do. It's not that I'm unsuccessful in what I do, it's just I need a very specific type of company, and they're not easy to find. So what I've done here is like, I don't know how well you can see that, but this is my ground pin. When this is sitting inside here, we have this ground pin that goes here, and I'm just making a little bridge with a wire that is here, that runs along here and then just runs all the way down here along this entire side. So I'm basically sort of emulating the breadboard common ground row, and this will connect them back to this one here, which will be the ground of our moisture sensor. So I'm just going to leave that now for like this. And the moisture sensor, I have to think, I might have it here on my screen still. Which one is the ground? It's going to be that one. So we're going to have to sit like that. Yes. Okay, well that'll be fine. Then I'll do sort of the same pattern. I will go inside back here. Just make sure that is relatively sharp, these corners. You'll never, well, you might get it right, but I never quite get it right. Actually, this pair of pliers seems to kind of do the trick. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. I do not mind that at all. So then you sort of just bend it along there, and then we can solder it there. So yeah, companies, right. So I did most of my work in startups. I worked for a couple of bigger companies, but most of my work was in startups. And when I worked in the earlier years, it was very, I don't know, tech-driven isn't the right word. It was more that the business didn't really mess with us so much. Like, they just wanted things to be done. And there was no real sort of timeline for things, at least not anything that was pressured upon us. It was more that, you know, we need, this is the thing you have to be working on right now. And we did it fast, because nobody messed with us. There were no meetings, there were no stand-ups, and there was nothing except getting it done. And usually there was only really this one thing. Now, I don't know whether or not it's the fact that this has now become a real sort of career path where people actually study this stuff and then come into the workplace like that. I don't know. But yeah, I'm kind of losing my train of thought already. It's just really difficult to put into words why I can't function in that environment anymore. And it was so clear to me all of a sudden. Like, first I was like, well, let's contact the recruiter and just go look for, you know, another place. Maybe it'll finally be the place that I can call home as a workplace. And then I was like, well, I don't really want to. Why am I doing all this right now? Like, I don't even need to. Yeah, I don't really want to find another job and to learn another domain. Like, this is the thing as a programmer. Like, you do not just have to learn the, I guess that's as any employee, but like, as a programmer, you don't just learn the technology. Like, you have to learn the domain as well, quite intimately too. Like, when I was working in online gaming, like, the amount of stuff I needed to learn just to be able to understand what I was working on, like the amount of different betting strategies and payout strategies and the way that they segmented players and how they validated people's real identities, all that stuff. You have to learn that. And then you jump into like a music-based startup. You have to learn all about music. Well, I know a lot about music, but and then you jump into some other startup, like about crowdfunding, for instance, and then all of a sudden you have to learn everything about like microtransactions And meanwhile, everybody also keeps changing the technology all the time. It's because it became so easy to create a new technology, to create a new framework, or to create a new programming language. It's also accessible and easy these days. Like, even I fall victim to this all the time. Like, I want to create my own programming language, mostly because I find it interesting, but God knows if I ever really do that. Like, I won't, because I'm lazy and I'm not a completionist, but what if I did and it actually gained some momentum, like Ruby once did, or Python once did, or some of these newer languages like Golang and Rust do, and all the frameworks in JavaScript. Like, don't even get me started on that. Like, what if you created a new language and it got some attention? Of course you would see it through, and you would make a new technology out of it, and then, you know, it cultivates people, and then yeah, before you know it, you know, like, you've created a new monster. Can never remember LEDs, which one is the ground. I don't do this often enough. That's the problem. Like, I want to do this so much more. Like, work with electronics is so nice. Connect the ground, the small one. Okay, so then you need to be like that. So I'm just putting a little LED right here to make sure that when the moisture sensor is done, that it shows that it's armed. In fact, I'm going to move it a little bit closer to the moisture sensor to indicate that that's what it relates to. So the moisture sensor will be here. Okay, and it can actually be a lot closer then. But I need to figure out my wiring as well, because all of that needs to be wired up. That should be pretty fine. Hello, Boogie. I wish we could incorporate Boogie more into the videos. That would be fun. Huh? Would you like that, Boo? Now I'm just talking to my dog off screen. Like, so yeah, you know, like, as far as the content and the format side, I think we're pretty solid right now. To be honest, I know that this is like not super interesting, but I will experiment now, because I just can't do it. I restarted my channel twice now to try to bring content that, you know, there's only two things, well, there's now three things sort of semi-popular on my channel. It's always been the first episode of Create Your Own Programming Language, which was still in Python and is severely outdated, but people still watch it like all the time, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating because there's so much more content in that could actually put you on your way. Like, it's far from complete, but it could put you on your way. And the other one is a machine learning tutorial, which even more outdated. You could do better than that. And then, yeah, I thought so. That sucked. The Godot tutorials, they're relatively popular. People want to make games, I think. That's what people want to do. Like, that'd actually be a great career path if it wasn't so sucky. Like, people in the game industry, they're not very happy. On the other hand, if you can design your own path, like if you can make your own industry, wow, okay. Seriously? That is the most ugly line I've ever put. But it works, so why fuck with it? Who cares? I don't know if you can see that, but that is just bizarrely fucked up. Okay. That puts us pretty good, right? So let's see. What have we built here? I want to put one more LED on it, by the way. Okay, so this one will collect moisture until it reaches a threshold, fire off the LED, and then once you pass this, the song is played and the whole mechanism resets itself. That sounds pretty solid. Let's put a green LED on it for when it fires. When it plays the song. Why not? Do I want to waste an LED on that? Yeah, why not? Could be fun. Allows us to do a little bit more in the code. So yeah, what would you call a format like this? Like, you know, I'll still show you like the code and stuff, and I'll still work on the other stuff I was working on. Like, I still want to make the programming language, and I will document it. It's just I don't want to do it in a format that forces me to release a video, you know, that has to be about that, or that has to be at a certain time. No. It has to be on my time, like, because otherwise I won't do it, and I will just lay here for weeks, months, years, and then not doing anything because I just feel pressure to do stuff. And I also cannot make it fun, you know, like I can't be that outgoing person that just engages you into the video with those tricks. Don't like it. So yeah, what we have to do then, solder wires to those three, this one, and those two. Then they can all go into an Arduino, that can go into a Raspberry Pi. We won't do that because if you've seen some of my robot stuff, you know that I have a better solution for that setup. And yeah, let me have a little break and then I'll continue.